So you want to win more games in college football revamps. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how to do that. As you see on the screen, here are all of the records of my online dynasties. In some of them, I do play CPU games, but in a lot of these, I play user games, and as you can see, I get results. I am always in playoff contention and always in national championship contention, and today I'll show you how to get like me and get those dubs. Having a great team is always a good way to win more games, but before the team comes the scheme. If you're going to get those dubs, you need to have a great scheme. Now, what exactly is your scheme? The scheme is very simple. It's your play style. If you like to run the ball, make a scheme around the run. If you like to pass the ball, make a scheme around the pass. Now, defensive schemes are a little bit different, and I'll get to that in a second. But offensive schemes are very simple. I'll give you a little bit of a diagram to show you exactly how to run and pass the ball and where you want to go on offense. Here, obviously, you can see is a diagram of a football field. I am so sorry if it's blurry. It's the best picture I could find on Google. So obviously, there's two things you can do in football. You could otherwise run the football or you can pass the football. That's literally it on offense. There's nothing else that you can do. Obviously, there are different things you can do out of the run and pass. For run examples, you could have counter plays, option plays, jet sweeps, things of that nature. And for pass plays, you could have a mesh concept, levels concept, verticals concept, but they all fall under those two categories. It's otherwise going to be a run play or a pass. Of course, you know, there's going to be one of the two things. You're going to run the ball or you're going to pass the ball. So why am I showing you a diagram of a football field? Because there are different zones in the field where you could run and pass at. So first, let's look at run plays and zones that are in the run plays and where you want to go on the field depending on the defense, how much time you have on the clock, and where you are on the actual field. So let's say you're starting out in the default position. You're right in the middle, right? You can do multiple things. You can do a counter to the left. You can do a counter to the right. And what these are going to do is obviously misdirect the defense, and it's going to put you in these two zones right here. Now, these zones are what I like to call outside zones. And the reason why I call them outside zones is because it's right on the outside of your tackle and right on the outside of that defensive end on the opponent's side of the ball. You want to attack these zones if the opponent is stacking the box. If there's nobody in these outside zones, that's when you run a stretch play or a counter play. Now, what if they have somebody in those outside zones? Well, of course, you have this inside zone. And obviously, there are run plays in the game literally called inside zone. Now, when you want to attack this, it's fairly simple. You want to attack this when they are not stacking the box. When they have guys on that outside zone protecting the stretch and counter plays, this is when you want to run an inside zone, halfback dive, halfback ISO, basically any inside run play. Now, obviously, I can't get too into detail, otherwise this video would be an hour long and, well, you got things to do. You got a life outside of video games, and so do I. I actually want to go eat with my girlfriend once in a while. Now, these are the two zones you mainly want to attack when you're running the ball on offense. Now, obviously, if you're on the left hash, you don't want to run the ball to the left side. There's not a lot of space there. And same thing on the right hash. If you're on the right side, you don't want to run towards the right side because there's not a lot of space there. So make sure you're aware of your surroundings and aware where you're snapping the ball. Now, with that out of the way, we can talk about passing the ball. Now, running the ball in this game is a little bit easier than passing simply because there's only one or two bad things that can really happen when you run the ball. You could lose yards or you could fumble. But in the passing game, a lot of bad things can happen. Let's do a quick rundown of all the bad things that can happen when you're passing the football. So obviously, the first thing that's the worst thing that can happen when you're passing is an interception. The second thing that can happen is an incompletion. Now, the reason why the incompletion sucks is, okay, they didn't necessarily pick the ball off, but they still got to stop. It's still a loss of downs, and the clock stops as well. One of the most important tips that I can give you in order to win more games, no matter what scheme you run, is to keep the clock moving and to make sure you stay on offense. The reason why you want the clock running and why you want to stay on offense is because it's going to tire out their defense, which is going to lead to making mass substitutions. And when they're moving players around on defense and you're staying on offense, that means you got more opportunities to get in that box. So obviously, in order to keep the clock moving, the best thing to do is run the ball. But however, you're going to pass the ball sometimes, or eventually you're going to need to pass the ball. So you want to hit these 4 zones whenever you're passing the ball. The first zone that I'm going to talk about is this middle zone. Usually the middle zones, or like a hook zone, is some type of zone that a linebacker or safety will play. No matter what defense they come out in, unless it's man-to-man or it's a blitz, usually there are going to be hook zones on the field, and they usually line up in the middle. If there's only one guy playing a hook zone, that's when you want to send multiple routes over the middle, because their user or the linebacker themselves aren't going to be able to keep up with all those routes over the middle. The next zone I want to talk about is the outsides. Now obviously out routes, corner routes, comeback routes, and sometimes curl routes, depending on where they are on the field, can attack these zones. Now you mainly want to attack the outside when they're lined up in man-to-man or certain type of cover 3 and cover 2 variants. You do not want to attack the outside if they are in cover 4, cover 6, or some type of other variant of cover 2 and cover 3 where they have the buzz zone. Now let's talk about the flats. Obviously the flats are attacked by, things like swing routes from your halfback, by this little hitch route, maybe just a quick out route, zig routes, things of that nature. Now you obviously want to attack the flats when the opponent isn't giving up anything deep. If they're not giving up anything deep, that means that the flat is unprotected. That's when you want to go ahead and take what the defense gives you. Now the final zone I want to talk about are the deep zones. Now the deep zones can be attacked by using a verticals like concept where you have multiple people going down the field. However, you do not want to attack the deep zones all the time. So you want to attack deep zones whenever the safeties come down, pinching in the line, or the cornerbacks come in, there's more guys in the box, or second and long and third and long situations. Hopefully this will give you great success. So now we done talked fully about the scheme, run, pass, which zones to attack, where you are on the field, things of that nature. Now we need to go in on how to implement your scheme using a custom playbook. I don't care who you are. I don't care where you're from. I don't care how experienced or inexperienced you are in this game. You need a custom playbook. Now, you're probably saying, okay, well, I'm in my custom playbook and I know my scheme. I like to run the ball, I like to pass the ball a little bit. Which playbook should I base my custom playbook off of? Don't worry, I got you. All right, so let's talk about playbooks that you can base your custom playbook off of so you can go ahead and get some more dubs. The first one I want to talk about is the spread, and the spread is a pass-heavy offense that utilizes 3, 4, and 5 receiver sets in order to get the ball down the field through the air. Pick this one if you're really pass heavy. All right, next up is the air raid, and the air raid offense is pretty similar to the spread offense. However, it has design plays in order to get the ball down the field through passing. Again, this is a pass heavy offense, so if your scheme revolves around passing the ball, you can also base your custom playbook off of this one. Now it is time to talk about pro style, and pro style is a mix between the run and the pass. It's more reminiscent of teams in the NFL and how they run their offenses. Use this one if you want a little mix between run and pass, leaning a little bit more towards pass heavy. Now with the one back offense, it is a little bit different. Basically, it's what the name says. You got one back. It is an offense based around having one running back in the backfield pretty much at all times. So it's not necessarily a lot pass heavy. It's more run heavy. But of course, you still have some pretty good pass plays in this playbook. Pick this one if you're trying to run that rock. Now we have the option playbook, and this playbook is a little bit unorthodox. Basically think wing bone, flex bone, wishbone, things of that nature. It's a really weird offense, and honestly, you're not going to run it unless you have a lot of running backs and fullbacks who are really good, fast, speedy, and you also need a pretty fast quarterback as well. Definitely pick this one if you love doing triple options and whatnot, and if you're trying to run that rock for real. Now, when it comes to the run and shoot offense, it's exactly what it says. Only one team has this playbook, is SMU, and run and shoot is basically breaking down the defense with the run and then bombing them over the top with the pass. And there's not too many situations where you're really going to need or use this run book, so I wouldn't recommend it. Up next is the pistol, and this is a very versatile offense. This offense usually includes 1 or 2 running backs, a tight end, and maybe up to 4 receivers, but usually 3 receivers. This offense is great for running, it's great for passing, it's really a jack of all trades. You're not going to necessarily master a play style with this, but you're going to be able to run and throw that ball pretty efficiently. Now, multiple is just what the name says. It's pretty self-explanatory. You got multiple playbooks into one. It's basically going to have just a little bit of everything in here. It's going to have 1 back sets, it's going to have 5 wide sets, it's going to have ace, it's going to have shotgun, it's going to have everything you want. This is a pretty good playbook to base your custom playbook around, no matter what scheme you got. So now you got your offensive scheme down. Obviously, you're making your custom playbook for your offense, but you also got to make a custom playbook for your defense, and you got to get a defensive scheme. Now, with your defensive scheme, I don't care who you are, I don't care where you're from, I don't care about none of that, man. You need to be able to get off of defense quick. And the best way to get off defense quick is by creating turnovers, getting stops, quick 3 and outs, things of that nature. So I'm going to show you some of the best formations in the game. Now, the first defense I want to talk about is the 4-3. Obviously, this is just an example of a 4-3 over, which is a sub formation in the formation, but you're going to have 4 down linemen and you're going to have 3 linebackers. This defense is semi-versatile. Usually you're going to run this defense to stop the run, stop the pass a little bit, but it doesn't have the versatility of other defenses, such as the 3-4. So the 3-4 is basically the inverse of the 4-3. Instead of having 4 down linemen, now you only have 3, but you get an extra linebacker, and usually this extra linebacker is going to be a rushing linebacker. Now the right outside linebacker is usually going to be the rushing linebacker in a lot of these 3-4 formations. So just play around the 3-4 and you'll see who exactly is the rushing linebacker. The 3-4 is pretty good because it gives you some more versatility out there. You can drop that linebacker out in the coverage, you can have him pass rush, you can have him stop the run, and it's just a little bit more speed and agility out on the field rather than a 4-3. Now let's talk about the 4-2-5. Now 4-2-5 is a little bit different. As you can see, you have 4 down linemen, you got 2 linebackers, and you got the rest are DBs. However, you have 2 safeties out there that are strong safety. This defense brings even more versatility and speed to the field. This way you can have your strong safeties come in, play the run. You can have them be good pass coverage guys. It really gives you a lot of options on defense. Now, to run this defense successfully, you need some really good run stopping safeties and you need some really good run stopping linebackers. Otherwise, you're going to get torn up in the run. However, if you have good run support safeties and good run support linebackers, you're going to be able to run this defense very effectively. Now we're going to talk about the 3-3-5, and the 3-3-5 defense is pretty simple. As you can obviously see, you got 3 down linemen, you have 3 linebackers, and you have 5 defensive backs, with 2 of them being strong safety. The 3-3-5 defense is easily the most versatile defense in the game. In my personal opinion, it is the best defense in the game. But the only way it can be the best defense in the game is if you run it correctly. And the way to run it correctly is by having great linebackers who can not only stop the run, but also play coverage, and great strong safeties who can do the same thing. You definitely need the personnel in order to run this defense. Otherwise, you're going to get chopped and diced up against any offense. If you're going to run this defense or use a defensive playbook that uses this defense a lot, make sure you have the safeties and linebackers to do it. Alright, so I just gave you a couple defenses that are pretty good at getting stops and creating the turnovers that you need in order to get your defense off that field in a quick manner. But I know you still have that lingering question: Hype, how is this exactly going to get me off the field, and how is this going to get my offense the ball back? Don't worry, I got you. You know I got you. I had you from day one, and I know you got me from day one, so go ahead and kick that like and subscribe button. So we gonna go ahead and talk about the 4-3 defense and how it can create turnovers and quick stops. Now the 4-3 defense, obviously I already explained it to you, so you know how it works. Now the way you use the 4-3 defense in order to create quick stops is by using your linebackers as an extra blitzer. This defense obviously doesn't have enough DBs on the field for it to really be a pass stopping defense. It wants to be a run stopping defense. So go ahead and use that defense like it was meant to stop run. Essentially, you want to blitz a linebacker or two so that you get pressure on the quarterback, which is otherwise going to force them to run. And where are they running? Right into a brick wall. Or they're going to keep passing, and if you use her over the middle, they're going to end up making a mistake because the pressure is getting to them. Now with the 3-4, obviously you already know it is the inverse of the 4-3, and with this defense you want to confuse the offense. How are you going to confuse the offense? Well, it's very simple. Obviously that rushing linebacker can be a rushing linebacker, but most often than not, you want to go ahead and blitz somebody else, put that guy out in the coverage. Mix it up with different zone blitzes that has that linebacker otherwise rushing or out in coverage, has a defensive end go out in the coverage, has, you know, a safety drop into the box. Before you know it, you're going to confuse that quarterback. He's going to throw you the interception and you're going to get back on offense. Now, the 4-2-5 is a little bit of a tricky defense to run. However, when you do master it, it easily can be a really good defense for you to get those quick stops. Now, basically, this is going to be more of a coverage defense. So this is really good at stopping passes. So get your opponent in the passing situations, hop in this 4-2-5. You're going to have a ton of speed out there and you're going to be able to get that quick stop. Now the 3-3-5 and the 4-2-5 are somewhat similar, except you just get one extra linebacker and one less defensive lineman, but you already knew that. This is another pass coverage defense, so you want to get your opponent in the passing situation. So like on first down, second down, maybe go into that 4-3, maybe into a 3-4, confuse them a little bit, rattle them. Then on third and long, hop into 3-3-5 and get that stop. All right, so quick recap. I talked to you about the scheme. I talked to you about how to make a custom playbook, what to do, what to use. I taught you how to run, where not to run, how to pass, where not to pass. I told you about defense. I told you how to get stops on defense and how to get quick turnovers on defense as well. So lastly, the only thing I can talk about now is your team. Now, unless you got them NIL deals coming through, you're not going to get a lot of transfers, which means that most of your team is going to come from the recruiting board. If you want me to make a more in-depth video showing you the tips and tricks of recruiting, go ahead, hit that like button, comment, and make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications so you do not miss when I upload. If you made it this far into the video, you are an OG. I appreciate you from the bottom of my heart. I've been loving the support that you guys been showing me, and I wanted to just say we have hit a milestone. We have officially hit 15 subscribers. I appreciate every single last one of you guys. You guys are the goats. I hope you enjoyed that video, and until next time, I love you guys. Peace.